Hi, I'm Uli John Roth, and you're watching the All Over the Place podcast where the fun sanity never ends.
Hello and welcome back to All Over the Place, the official podcast of Media Pub Live. I'm your host, Eric Pravaznik, and back. No funny thing, no green screen going on behind. I'm back in the office. No more in the mugginess known as Northwest Ohio. And also back in from his lair up in the Northwest, Jim Culver. How are you, my friend?
I'm good. Just got back from vacation. I'm tanned. I'm sort of rested, and I'm ready to go.
And as we learned earlier on the summertime episodes, Jim does not tan, folks.
Nope. 2 Irish turned straight to Red Lobster.
There you go. But hey, it was a good vacation. I loved checking in on you over there on Facebook. So glad to have you back up in at home as well. And with us tonight, folks, we have a threefer. We've got our first music-minded threefer of season 3, and it came immediately to mind. Let's bring on one of the more music-savvy people that I know in the blogosphere, the podcastosphere, and beyond. He is a former congressman from the state of Michigan, a recovering politician, a current guitarist, and he laid down some smooth Led Zeppelin on the floor of Congress. Please welcome to the show, Thaddeus McCotter.
Thank you for having me, Eric, Jim.
An absolute pleasure. I mentioned you're a recovering politician, a guitarist. You got all those beautiful axes in the background there. You're also doing some writing over at American Thinker and
American Greatness, over at American Greatness.
American Greatness, thank you. Yep.
I also contribute every now and again to Chronicles. And obviously, Lisa DePasquale hits me up every now and again to contribute to the Bright newsletter. And you don't say no to Lisa DePasquale.
And I really like the column you put up earlier this year. I believe it was on Chronicle, talking about the blue light, America by blue light. Excellent. Yeah. I really dug that one, and comparing the feudalism and where I hope we're not going. So yeah.
The Chronicles piece was nice. Chronicles allows you to expand outside some of the political stuff into some more intellectual musings, I suppose. But the blue light one was about, William Manchester wrote pretty much a sailed piece called "A World Lit Only by Fire," which historians didn't quite like. But I did like the premise of it. And I looked at us now as almost we're in a medieval period of time where our world is lit only by a blue light, by the computer screen that you're looking at now or by your phone, and which starts to drag you into the whole area of virtual reality versus actual reality. In fact, one of the things I think I said in the piece, or probably said it other times, was I reject the whole concept of virtual reality. It's either reality or it isn't. There's no virtual nature to it. And if we start to conflate the lines between not only what is reality, but what is human or what is not human, we're going to have a very difficult time in the next coming decades trying to reaffirm our common humanity and find some universality that we can agree upon.
Start getting kids' faces out of the phones and the classroom. No, great column, folks. I highly recommend you go check that out over at Chronicles. And, I've got it up there now, American Greatness, also at Bright, at Get Bright Substack. One of the keenest minds and one of the wittiest minds out there. So please be sure you check out Thaddeus at any of those places. And I mentioned, at the top of the show that you're a guitarist and not a lobbyist and recovering politician. So, and you were in the band Second Amendments, a bipartisan band when you were back in your congressional days. And so what's going on now in the realm of playing guitar out and about?
Well, we had a 10-year reunion, the Second Amendment last year. Colin Peterson, Kenny Hulsall, John Porter, Dave Weldon, and myself. The reason that we were called the Second Amendments was not because we were pro-Second Amendment, which all of us were, despite the fact we were bipartisan as well.
Yeah.
We all supported the Second Amendment. But no, it was because originally the band, before I got to Congress, was called the First Amendments. And Colin Peterson was in that, and somebody like Joe Scarborough was actually in it too at that period of time. And so when we were thinking of names for the band now, Colin just said, well, we should just call it the Second Amendments because we're the second iteration of the band. And at that point, nobody cared, so we just went.
The Yardbirds, the new Yardbirds, just add something to it and just keep on moving.
The new originals, yes. The new originals.
And by that point, nobody really cares, so we just moved on. Yeah.
Yeah, we just moved right on. So did the public, too.
See, I'm not the only one who makes Spinal Tap references on this show, folks. I told you he's a keen mind. I told you.
Oh, that movie, that's That's a cultural touchstone.
Can never
How
go
can
wrong.
you not love that? If you play in any rock band, how do you not love that? Love that movie.
Stop wasting my time. You know what I want, and you know what I need.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh wait, that's a government song. But anyhow,
GSM.
Yep.
Give me some money.
But folks, I did mention we are. It's another three for tonight, and in keeping with the theme, and I mentioned I'm just fresh back from Ohio, the land of mugginess. And actually, I was up in your neck of the woods. My last umping gig, Thaddeus, was up doing the Motor City Classic, and I stopped over to Dooley's place. I was told that was the best coney in Detroit. Would you concur with that one, or where next time I'm back there, where would you steer me for a good Detroit?
Well, we've got good conies everywhere in Michigan, everywhere in Detroit.
Absolutely.
So you go downtown, you can go to American, you can go to Lafayette, you can go to George's, Leo's, Kirby's, you can go anywhere else. I don't like to pick a stop. I'm a recovering politician, but I do like to eat. I don't want to upset any of the prospective proprietors that I may visit. But anywhere you can, it's nice to see you guys from Ohio raising your game by coming to Michigan. Here we tend to view you as beneath us, which geographically you certainly are.
In my best Mick Jagger, very diplomatic there.
I saw them. My daughter's a big Stones fan.
Nice.
And so it was one of the interesting. The entire family went to go see the Rolling Stones when they were at Ford Field. And if you had told me when I saw them back in 1981 at the Pontiac Silverdome, where it was general seating, we were freezing our behinds off because they didn't heat the place. That I'd be sitting there with my wife and our 3 children at the Rolling Stones concert in 2022. I'd have thought you were crazy. And yet here they were, and here we were. It was very interesting. It was very interesting to see them. Because I don't know about you, but I remember my grandparents. And my grandparents, they passed away 76, 77. My maternal grandparents were the ones that did. And I can't imagine my grandfather, who is now like 5 years younger than Mick Jagger, running around on stage doing that. I just
still got it.
And then I started to think about it, and you'll enjoy this because you're musically inclined. But then you start to think about it. Now, my grandfather on my mother's side was a factory foreman for the A&P, the Old Atlantic and Pacific. So he was the warehouse foreman. So he worked hard every single day. And so you look at these rock stars, and you say to yourself, well, they really work about 2 or 3 hours a night. And then the rest of the night they spend partying, and then they sleep most of the day. So it would make sense now if you start to think about it that way, about the time and energy and toll you put on your body, as long as you don't put it onto yourself. You can live a long, pretty good life, and your limbs could still be in good shape. Whereas if you worked like in a sanitation, or if you worked at a factory floorhouse, if you were a blue-collar job, 9 to 5 every single day or longer, that's a wear and tear on your body that these rock stars and celebrities do not have. Except for Keith. I can't explain Keith Richards.
No one can explain Keith. The man will flirt death. He will outlive the cockroaches.
At some point, we all need to stop and think about what kind of a world we want to leave for Keith Richards. Okay.
I've thought about it. I don't have a definite idea, but yeah, I've thought about it.
Love it.
He's all of our legacy at some point.
Well, we've also put a lot of money in his pocket too.
This is true.
I think about that. I mean, I go downstairs, I look at all these albums I still have that I bought back in a child of the late 70s, early 80s. I look at all those albums, I kept them all. And then I look over and I see this huge stack of CDs. And then I look over at this iPod, or I look at my computer and I go, how many times have I bought this stuff? And then I'm a big The Beatles were my number one band. Still are. So I got all the Giles Martin stuff now. I think I'm on my 5th Abbey Road or something.
Well, I think there's only one. There are very few bands, but the one that comes to mind is one right across the river from you in Detroit, The Pursuit of Happiness, late 80s, early 90s band out of Canada. One of the few had their first album, Love Junk, was available on 8-track, cassette, LP, and CD, and of course now is available digitally. So they've covered every medium. Not a lot of acts can say that.
I should really be nice to Ohio because I don't want Chrissy Hine coming after me. I saw an interview with her recently. It was a couple of years ago with Stevie Nicks. I think they were touring together somewhere. And wow, She still epitomizes rock and roll.
I've seen Fleetwood Mac once, and I
was talking about Chrissie Hynde, not Fleetwood.
Oh, sorry, Chrissie Hynde. Sorry, well, Chrissie. Actually, I'm going to be seeing the Pretenders in a month. Next month, they're coming to Phoenix. So
you are? Oh, good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I get to
That'd
check
be a
that
good
one
show,
out.
Man. That'd be a really good show.
It's Chrissie Hynde. It's the Pretenders. But being in Phoenix, I also have to see the hometown girl, Stevie Nicks solo, at some point.
She's still, the voice is still there. The voice is still there. They're really Hart was coming by. They've come by lately. So a lot of the women pioneers in rock and roll are still out there as well.
Yeah,
and they're really putting on a show.
Folks, we could go about music all night. See, this is why we brought Thaddeus on for a music-minded topic. This was, but what we're going to do tonight, it's keeping with the season because coming out of the heat of Ohio back here to the heat of the desert. We're going to talk about our 3 favorite summertime songs. And Jim, you came up with the +1, so why don't you explain what the +1 is, and then we'll get to the Threefer.
Yeah. So basically, the top 3 is our favorite summer songs, and then +1 is kind of an anti-summer song. So a song that maybe has kind of a bittersweet or I don't know, kind of a maybe not negative, but just kind of a different look at summer. Maybe a just doesn't see it through the rose-colored glasses that we normally see summer, or through nostalgia, but just kind of looks at it a bit through a glass darkly, and gives a little bit different take on summer. So,
all right, and with that in mind, Thaddeus, we pass it over to you for your favorite, your number 3, your number 2, number 1. We'll round robin it, and your number 3 summertime song.
Well, as someone who does, I mean, it depends on what day it is, depends on where I'm driving, it depends on all of it. I mean, you can go through any type of Ramones song is great when you're driving down the highway. You can go with the Sex Pistols, you go with songs. You can go with the Beatles depending on the kind of mood. So it's really hard to come up with 3, but I think that those are 4 types of bands that I would definitely listen to. So if you wanted to take one, I mean, you could take a Ramones song, and you could say, I don't want to go with Blitzkrieg Bop because that's so done, but Rock and Roll Radio definitely blast that.
Oh,
one.
Yeah.
If you go to the Rolling Stones, you can go with like Rocks Off would be a great one off of Exile on Main Street, the title track. If you wanted to go with the Sex Pistols, anything there, you could go with, I would probably go with God Save the Queen. It's just a great song, and we used to play it back in the day.
All right, there we have a couple honorable mentions and number 3. Pick whichever one you want, folks. And now, Jim, we go to you for your first pick.
All right, so my number 3 is one of those tunes that I never seem to get tired of, no matter how many times I listen to it over the years. It's just such an addictive song. Summer of '69 by Bryan Adams. Just got that really addictive guitar riff going, and just such a fast-paced, fun song, and it really captures that kind of nostalgic look back at that one summer, and I think we all have them. That one summer when we were still young, but it kind of felt like the last summer before we kind of grew up and had to really take responsibility in our lives and kind of leave our childhood behind, and just kind of the missing the stuff we left, but still, feeling nostalgic for that feeling, that optimism and that joy and that youthful energy. And I think to me that tune really captures that.
I love it. Yeah, and a fun song to play on the guitar. Some quick bar chord there with D to A, and then slide it up to a B. So simple, even I can play it. And I'm going to piggyback off of both of you guys actually with that. Then Thaddeus, you brought up Rock and Roll Radio by the Ramones, and Jim, that nostalgic feel that you get from Bryan Adams. I'm going to go first with an honorable mention very quickly to Everclear AM radio, because as a child of the 70s into the 80s, and just talking about listening to stuff on 8 tracks and listening to the AM radio, and just really it hit the right feels. But that's an honorable mention. My number 3 is going to be Stacy's Mom by Fountains of Wayne, because Adam Schlesinger, their lead man there in Fountains Wayne, such a disciple of the Cars, and we'll get to that a little bit later. The Cars are such an ultimate summertime band for me. Just hitting those right notes, and Adam Schlesinger with Fountains of Wayne really captured that. Stacy's mom, and out there cutting the grass there, Jim, just like you like to do in the summertime.
Indeed. And you could say that song has got it going on, and indeed it does. And speaking of AM radio, as a very inebriated college student, I actually sang that karaoke.
Nice.
Many years ago, and I'm not going to say I sang it well, but I enjoyed myself up there. So
was alcohol involved?
A little bit, just a tad. Yeah.
You're up there at karaoke, and you don't care how good you sound. You're up there having fun. That's all what it comes down to.
That's what it's all about. Nobody does karaoke for the skill of it.
All right, well, Thaddeus, over to you for your number 2 entry.
Yeah, so number 3 would have been Rock and Roll Radio by the Ramones. Number 2 will be God Save the Queen by the Sex Pistols. Yeah, we used to play it in the band. It's a relatively simple song. Shocking, I know.
Sex Pistols, three quarters of somebody else's truth.
And the outro was great. No future.
Yeah.
It was just, you could just play it forever. And back when we were doing it, again, we were doing it like around 78, 79, right? When, 77 is when the album came out. Pretty much, yeah, 77. So when we were doing it, everybody's like looking at us, what's this? And now you get all these kids like, oh, that's a great album. It's like, yeah, your dad didn't think so. Your dad was busy yelling with us and you're playing.
Yeah.
So that'd be number 2. God save.
All right.
Well, as Martin McFly would say, I guess you guys aren't ready for that, but your kids are going to love it.
Your kids will love it.
All right, Jim, over to you.
All right. So, yeah, my number 2 is by the Beach Boys. And, I mean, for summer song, you could pretty much pick any Beach Boys or Jan and Dean song, and it would fit right here. But my personal pick is Surfin' USA. It just happens to be probably my favorite Beach Boys song. It's such a fun listen. And I think it really captures kind of that party feel, especially growing up in California and how much fun the summers were going to the beach and enjoying that. And it's obviously a song of goodwill, kind of saying everybody should be able to enjoy this around the country if they could. But it just captures that kind of fun feeling of being carefree and having all that time to yourself to just be young and do whatever you want to do in the summer. And grew up listening to the Beach Boys, and it's a great tune. So that's my number 2.
Any band with an album called Endless Summer, you're right, and you could pick anyone from them. And I kept them off my list just because I could have, much like we did with Earth, Wind, and Fire in Chicago, and who was the other band we had with Blood, Sweat, and Tears when we had our horns-centric Threefer. The Beach Boys, they are summer. They're kind of like the all-encompassing. I couldn't pick just one. I couldn't do it. But I do like the one you picked. I also like Surfin' USA as covered by the Jesus and Mary Chain. They did a nice twist on it, and I
don't think I've heard that version.
Well, folks. It will be on the Spotify playlist that I'll be making for this show. So everyone will hear it. But going to my number 2, first one, another band that to me epitomizes summertime. The boys in Van Halen, whether it's the original one with Dave or the next incarnation with Sammy. And but I did pick a Dave song. But really quickly, I want to give there's the only Van Halen song I will ever skip past from the Dave era anyway is Dancing in the Street. I do not like that cover. Got to go with Martha Reeves for, of course, the original. But in doing my homework for this, I came across a cover by the Struts, and they injected some life into that Van Halen, to me, could not do. So I want to honorable mention, give a shout out to the Struts with their cover of Dancing in the Street. And now I'm going to get to my Van Halen pick, and that would be Beautiful Girls. Because, you got your drink in your hand, got your toes in the sand, and all you really need is a beautiful woman. That's party band, that's California, that's Van Halen. That's my number 2 summertime song. And Thaddeus, we go to you now for your numero uno. And why you picked that one.
Rocks Off by the Rolling Stones. If you listen to it and you look at the hubcaps on the car next to you, you can just see it in perfect synchronization as you're cruising down the road. And it starts off with just such a great lick at the beginning. So, and then it picks up steam and never stops. So it's kind of like the Motor City itself.
I wish we could have had our guitars plugged in for this one. I'd like to have you teach me that opening riff. That's just one of the greatest album opening songs. Exile on Main Street, my favorite Stones. Awesome call with Rocks Off.
The whole thing, man. You know, that's one of the things about YouTube that is amazing. Because I remember, again, my age, growing up, and you'd have to take guitar lessons. You'd have to listen to the song over and over and try to figure out what you're playing. What are they playing? You know what I mean? Now you could type in the song, type in the chords, and they'll show somebody on YouTube playing it for you and teaching it to you. It's amazing. Of course, you don't think that way if you're if you're somebody teaching guitar lessons. You might be a little upset. But it's good for learning. Actually, YouTube can be used for good learning.
And for people who are tone deaf like me, who couldn't figure it out on their own, YouTube does come in handy for people like me, especially when my guitar instructors just wanted to teach me Barracuda or Smoke on the Water. I wanted to play some Pistols. I wanted to play, a little more of Keith's stuff. So yeah.
I took guitar lessons for a while. I got a poor guy'd come in hungover from the gig the night before, weekend of dope, and it's like, "You gotta do a half hour here to learn this." Thanks. Thanks. He buffed out Smoke on the Water.
Dun, dun, yeah, all right. All right, Jim, up to you.
All right, my number one. First off, I'm going to mention a couple of honorable mentions because it was really hard for me to get this down to 3. So
yeah,
and obviously, always apologizing ahead of time if I step on one of yours, but I will forge ahead nonetheless. So my honorable mentions are "Here Comes the Sun" by the Beatles. Just a really delightful, I think, song about just kind of positivity. "Sitting on the Dock of the Bay" by Otis Redding. Really captures, I think, the feel of just kind of a lazy day. And I had a lot of those in my summers as a kid. "Boys of Summer" by Don Henley. And what I think is probably the weirdest summer song, "Rock Lobster" by the B-52s. And I have no idea what is happening in that song, but it's a lot of fun to listen to.
Damn it, it's fun. That's all that matters.
Exactly. So my number one is just a song I've loved for a long time. It's "Summer Wind" by Frank Sinatra.
Okay.
First time I actually heard about this song, I wasn't listening to it. It was actually in a Saturday Night Live skit from the 90s that I watched as a kid. It was Phil Hartman's Sinatra doing duets with other artists, and then they brought in Chris Farley's Meatloaf to do a duet on that, but he didn't know the words. So it's Chris Farley going, "Summer Wind." I don't know that one.
Hey, you got to start somewhere with things,
and the only way that Chris Farley can. But yeah, I finally listened to it later and just fell in love with it. It's a beautiful song. I think if you look up the word "wistful" in the dictionary, there should be a picture of that song in there because that's exactly what it is. It's just this wistful remembrance of a summer love that's long gone, and it just kind of lingers in your memory. And like a lot of Sinatra songs, it's iconic and has been a part of my life in a lot of different ways. A lot of personal ways. So it's a great song. It's a beautiful tune and just one of those that lingers in my memory always. So
Jim, that was with the Nelson Riddle Orchestra too.
Was it?
I think it was. That was that. Okay. He had that amazing run with those guys.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Yeah, I think that might have been. Yeah, great call.
Great call. And then like someone classed up the joint, and both of you guys, you came together to class it up a little bit more. I like it. Love it. And really quick.
And mostly.
We do what we can here on All Over the Place, folks. But quickly because Boys of Summer, the Don Henley version, I thought about it, but to me, that one's always tied to, it came out at the end of 1984. So I always have that like a winter or a fall feel on that one. But the Ataris cover that, it's not better than Don Henley. Yes. But that one to me captures more of a summertime feel.
That is a great cover. I love that one too.
But see, now we get to put both of those on the playlist. That's how I work here, folks. And just very quickly with a few of mine, because again, summertime songs, it's tough to come up with just 3. But a few more honorable mentions for me. All I Want to Do, Sheryl Crow, takes me back to that mid-90s, just like you said, wistful, just laying back, kicking back. The Go-Go's, another band where you could list so many songs. They're just a good beach California band. But Head Over Heels, my all-time favorite by them. And Raspberry Beret, Prince, takes me back to 85. And just, Caddy in that summer. And just that was on MTV all the time. Just a great song on the radio, too. Prince, Raspberry Beret. And a song from the 21st century, folks. 2 of them, actually. 2. Fireflies.
What?
I know. I do listen to music in the 21st century. Fireflies by the Drams, an offshoot band from Slobberbone. And just that came to mind because I was being back in Ohio and seeing lightning bugs, fireflies, whatever you want to call them. Just great. It captures that summer feel. And also from a few years ago, Portugal the Man, Feel It Still. That just got, again, capturing summer, just a fun kicking it back and just a good upbeat song. But those are my honorable mentions. My number 1, I alluded to them earlier with Adam Schlesinger and Fountains of Wayne, The Cars. Just a great summer band, summer feel. But I got to go with one that, as cliche as it is with this summer, Magic by The Cars. That summer of '84, my favorite year ever, 14 years old. My final summer in Warren, Ohio. Again, a song that was on MTV a lot. And just, they're down at the pool. To me, perfect summer song. The Cars, Magic.
Cannot argue that one. That's a good one.
Not quite Sinatra, but it'll.
Like I said, only certain things will class it up here, folks. And Sinatra is our touchstone for the evening. Otherwise, we're going with pop music through and through. But now we're going to flip it, and as Jim mentioned at the top, our +1 tonight will be a little more bittersweet, but just summer from a different perspective. And Thaddeus, we kick off the round of that with you again.
Well, the anti-summer song. I mean, you could take anything anything by Tom Waits would depress you.
Anything by Tom Waits, really.
So I'm torn. I love Tom Waits, but when I'm depressed. So I'm torn. So maybe you guys can help me. One is Cruel Summer, because that will depress me. And it was literally about a very cruel summer. So it's viewing summer through the lens of someone who's having a very bad time.
And not even the peppiness of Bananarama could turn that around.
Yeah.
No, not even the video. So the other one is literally A Hazy Shade of Winter. Be it by Paul Simon and Garfunkel or by the
Bengals.
The Bengals.
The Bengals.
Yep. From the Awesome Less Than Zero soundtrack.
Yeah. Oh, I saw that movie. Wow.
Oh, there's a bummer of a movie.
Saw it once. That's an anti-summer movie right there.
Boy, is it.
Robert Downey Jr.'s greatest work. So
well,
I think I'm going to go with Cruel Summer. I think I'm going to go because it's just so literal. And it's not seasonal. So you're looking at summer through a different lens as opposed to just a change of season.
I like it.
Still be having a good hazy shade of winter. Right? He isn't really specific about whether it's the end of the world. But Cruel Summer is pretty upfront.
And two winners there.
Pretty little.
And that one is forever associated with one of the most iconic movies of my childhood, which is Karate Kid, which is very an anti-summer movie because it starts off with the hero getting dumped into California in the middle of summer and having a horrible time, and then having to start school and behind the eight ball is socially. So it's kind of it's having a cruel summer. Exactly.
Yeah, there's not a lot of subtext to Karate Kid either, is it?
I got dumped into Toledo, Ohio 5 days before school started, my freshman year in 1984. Suck it up, LaRusso. Deal with it.
It's pretty on the nose.
You were at least in California. I was stuck in Toledo. There is no comparison.
Oh, Glass City.
Not that I'm hanging on to anything, folks.
Not at all.
Nope.
You go to Tony Paco's.
Hey, don't trust me. I was living at Tuesdays at Tony Paco's the last 8 weeks. So, yeah, good times there.
So that couldn't be that cruel.
but I didn't know it at the time. It took me a couple years before I discovered Paco. So it was around the corner from where I was caddying.
I don't know, Jim. This sounds more like his fault than Toledo's fault.
You know, yeah, I'm kind of with you on this one.
I was 14. I had no choice. I had to move where Dad went. So you make the best of it. So, hey, but here's the thing. What I always said, best thing about being in Toledo in the 80s, I was an hour from Detroit where I saw a lot of great shows. Pine Knob
Silver
for
lining.
life. Yeah.
Pine Knob.
Okay, you make
Pine
the best
Knob again. They've renamed it again.
Oh, is it back to
Pine Knob?
It's back to DTE or whatever it is.
Oh, no, it's back to Pine Knob.
Well, okay, that's what I thought. It is back to that.
Yeah, back to Pine Knob.
Sadly, I was there for 8 weeks. I couldn't find a show to see, but you know, no sense griping. I found Mike Campbell and the Dirty Knobs over at the Sound at the casino, and then X played at the Masonic Temple. That was awesome. Detroit City, good times.
It's the only concert I ever missed that I wanted to see, other than the Beatles. But the one where I was alive and could go, I missed the Stones in 1978 at Masonic Temple.
They played the Masonic Temple?
78 on the Some Girls tour.
Wow, that would have been amazing.
Oh, that would have been amazing. Did 2 nights, you couldn't get a ticket to save your life.
Couldn't get a ticket, was a sold-out show.
Sorry, Jim. I didn't mean to cut into
no more foreigner references, folks. We're going to skip up to Jim and save us on that one. Save us, Jim.
All right, so for my anti-summer pick, first of all, honorable mention, I'm going to go with Violent Femmes, Blister in the Sun, which is a 90s staple that I absolutely love, even if nobody can really understand what it's about. And
well,
yeah,
I
definitely can relate to the
family show.
Is that a summer song?
No, but I mean, but band members have denied that that's what it's about.
Yeah, they can deny it all
Publicly.
they want. We know what it is. Catholic schoolboys, whatever.
Yeah, well, and I can definitely relate to the title. So anyway, but yeah, and a great tune, of course. That's my honorable mention. But my pick for anti-summer song is "Summer in the City" by Love and Spoonful.
Oh.
And it's a great song. I love it. I love how fast paced it is. It's so much fun to listen to, but it's very clearly an anti-summer song because it's all about capturing just the stress and the difficulty of being stuck in a big city in the middle of a hot summer and trying to get through the day, and just how hot and sweaty and difficult it is. I'm mostly a small town guy, but I have spent a few summers in big cities, and I can't wait to get out when that happens. So, I actually drove a delivery truck through downtown Seattle one summer, and that job almost drove me insane. So, it's heat wave, no air conditioning in the truck, delightful stuff. So,
back near neck is dirty and gritty.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, and that song definitely captures that, and it's a ton of fun to listen to, but you cannot say it celebrates summer because it does not. So that's my pick.
All right. Well, for mine, I'm going to go to one that you think with a title like "Sunshine" by Jonathan Edwards would be this happy upbeat, but it's pretty melancholy. And then by the end of it has a little redemption moment. But and Paul Westerberg did a great cover of it too on the Friends soundtrack. He made it a little bit more upbeat. But so you listen to the lyrics, it's a bit of a bittersweet downer. But that's my honorable mention, and I'm going to go with another song from the 21st century coming up here now, and that would be "Dreamsicle" from the Reunions album by Jason Isbell and the 400 Unit. And yes, I can relate. It's about a kid at the start of the summer. His parents are moving him to another city, and his parents are going through a divorce. I can't relate to that part, but he's like, well, you know what? I got to say goodbye to my friends. It's not going to matter. They'll find another kid to take my spot on the baseball team, as we're, the Sandlot stuff, and but I'm just going to sit out here on the porch, the broken lawn chair with my dreamsicle here in the summertime. Yay!
My God, that's horrible.
Jason Isbell, great song.
It really is.
Yeah.
That's really.
It really is.
Hey, let's put that to music.
Somehow it works.
The Chopin dirge is inspired. play the funeral march.
Well, Jim picked the +1. I'm not complaining, but hey, I dug for that one. I didn't. It's Isbell. I didn't have to dig deep, but hey, folks, listen to our Threefer. It's much happier songs. I'll intersperse it. I'll make sure our +1s are spread far enough apart on the playlist. So yeah, we'll be sure to not bum people out too much with those. But
yeah, but hey, yeah, that's gonna be a emotional roller coaster listening to that.
I was a professional DJ, folks. I will make it work. The ebb and the flow, it'll be fine.
Fair enough.
So you just, and Thaddeus's pick of Rocks Off will be one that it just turns it. Actually, I'm gonna tell you right now, folks. Rocks Off will follow Dreamsicle, just so you get that emotional roller coaster, but you'll be right back where you need to be and not bummed out. Thinking about having to move while your parents are getting divorced.
Well, maybe that and some lithium.
Well, none of us brought up Nirvana, but hey, but folks, be sure you check out Thaddeus McCotter, recovering politician and a guitarist, not a lobbyist. And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, you were referred to as George W. Bush as the rock and roll dude, correct?
Yeah, something like that. It was a long time ago. We were playing the White House picnic, and I was playing the lead of Threefer behind my back. So, And so evidently he looked up and saw that or something. Yeah. And so I called him my country and Western president.
There you go. Folks, and check out Thaddeus over at Chronicles and American Greatness and Bright. They're on Substack.com. An awesome time, Thaddeus. Thanks so much for joining us here on All Over the Place. It's been fun, and looking forward to more great columns. And Jim, welcome back from vacation, and we'll be back soon, folks, here on All Over the Place. Thanks for listening.
Everybody have a dreamsicle and hope for the best.
It's my motto, practically.
Say it in Latin. Put it on
and that's how you end the show.
All Over the Place, where the fun sanity never ends.